Dissidia Final Fantasy NT is a strange game. Like the 2009 PSP game that spawned it, it's a battle royale between Final Fantasy characters, but Dissidia NT is a 3v3 arena brawler with a real emphasis on team structure and strategy. While it's occasionally brilliant, it is unique among fighting games and cluttered in a way that makes it difficult to pick up and play. Also baffling is the weak single-player content, which Square Enix should have learned by now is an unforced error. Seeing classic characters and locations rendered in fancy PlayStation 4 graphics is a real kick. Who doesn't want to see Sephiroth, Cloud, and Squall all march in a battle on the outskirts of Narsh, just like the intro to Final Fantasy VI? The arranged music is fantastic, and being able to unlock original themes, costumes, and weapons that span the entire series' history is a nostalgic joy. Its combat system, on the other hand, is an acquired taste. The basics are fairly simple. There are no long combos to memorize or ridiculous feats of execution to commit to muscle memory. Each of the 13 characters on the somewhat thin roster belongs to one of 3 classes, and their rock-paper-scissors balancing creates a need for coordination and teamwork. A well-balanced team featuring a nice mix of character types and sticking to their roles feels great to be part of. Without communicating though, it can fall apart quickly. Where Dissidia NT starts to get confusing is that there are 2 ways to attack, one of which does no physical damage but is absolutely essential to success. Hitting an opponent with one of your 6 basic attacks steals bravery points from them to add to your own pool. Once you build up your bravery number, the challenge is in landing the big payoff, the HP attack, which does more damage the higher your bravery number goes. If you miss this heavily telegraphed move, you not only blow your bravery, but also risk your opponent dodging and leaving you vulnerable to counterattack. That creates a natural risk-reward dynamic. But just look at all that stuff on the screen! While most fighting games have boiled down the information you need to keep track of to health, a super meter, and the 2 characters on screen, Dissidia NT is cluttered and intimidating. Standard matches take place in large arenas based on locations from Final Fantasy. Some stand out thanks to their detail and bits of scenery to mix up combat, but others, like the Promised Meadow and Porta Decumana, are just big, empty open spaces. To make things interesting, cores periodically spawn around the map, and the team that destroys them can call upon one of Final Fantasy's spectacular-looking summons to fight for them. Thankfully, this isn't some random event that unfairly hands a match to a team that should have lost. You're extremely vulnerable when you're calling them in. Cores also come into play in the alternate core battle mode, but the way those concentrate the action around 2 objectives tends to turn the action into a chaotic light show. In the standard matches, the battle is defined more by the characters and strategies the teams have chosen. But Dissidia NT disappoints with its single-player content for many of the same reasons as Street Fighter V did at launch. The story mode is the definition of bare bones. It's almost entirely cutscenes with only a handful of actual battles throughout. And while the little details that are packed into those story cutscenes are crowd pleasers, there isn't really enough of it to make this a real celebration of all things Final Fantasy, the same way Smash Bros. Is for Nintendo. On the topic of keeping Final Fantasy fans happy, some of the character choices are a bit of a letdown. No Tifa, Vincent, or Barrett, no Gao, Sabin, or Edgar. Maybe DLC will fill in some of those holes, but right now, it's just weird that they're not here. Dissidia Final Fantasy NT is fun and unique, but it tries to spin too many plates at once. As a team-based arena combat game, it comes up short against the depth and accessibility of something like Overwatch. As a fighting game, it fails to find a balance between the challenging execution of a Street Fighter and the pick-up-and-play chaos of Smash Bros. And as Final Fantasy fan service, it doesn't have much story content. For more, check out our reviews of UFC 3, Dragon Ball FighterZ, and Street Fighter V Arcade Edition. And for everything else, keep it right here on IGN.